Hello and welcome. In this video, the first half will be a mixed level vinyasa flow. The second half will be a guided deep stretch. We will start together in a comfortable seat facing the front. So starting to make your way there, finding a comfortable seat. Sits bones are grounded, palms can be facing your knees, more of a grounding feeling, or palms flipped up to the ceiling in receiving mode. Sitting up tall, long spine. Soften the shoulders, find softness in the face, space around the eyes, and softness in the throat and jaw. Settling in here. See how quickly you can let go of things no longer serving you. Practicing this on our mats to then take this with us off the mat. Detach and let your day just wash away. Try not to get distracted or attached by thoughts. Just know that they're there, but let them pass on by. Practicing to stay present, keeping the mind present as you move on your mat today. Begin to deepen the breath, finding full and complete inhales and exhales. Really fill up the lungs all the way. And exhale slowly, softening the chest and the belly. Four or five more rounds of your own unique breath. Keep with those full and complete rounds of breath and trying to maintain that throughout the next 60 minutes of practice. Begin to open the eyes. Take those hands, clasp them in front, palms forward, and start to round through the spine, scooping up the low belly. Inhale, press the chest forward, palms up to the ceiling, maybe gaze up at those hands. Exhale, palms forward, round through the spine, taking some seated cats and cows here. Inhale, hands back up to the ceiling, open up through the chest, and keep going, rounding on your exhale. And inhale, reach up, gaze up, and release the hands. We're going to come into child pose, toes come to touch, separate the knees apart, and dipping hips back towards your heels, walking hands to the top of the mat, melting chest and forehead down. Start to walk your hands over to the right side of the mat, taking a side body stretch here. Maybe left palm stacks on top of right. And walk those hands back through center and over to the other side of your mat, just switching. Right side body stretch here. And back through center. Good. Coming up out of this, you can come through tabletop, hands and knees. We're going to tuck under the toes and sit back for a double toe stretch. So hips sit back towards your heels. We'll add eagle arms while we're here. Reach out wide. The right arm will wrap underneath the left. Find that deep cross in the arms here first. You can stay hugging shoulders. If you'd like, maybe you cross at the wrist, palms touch. Getting this shoulder stretch, you might even feel this in the upper back. Undo the arms, reach out long, and switch, left arm wrapping underneath the right. Find that deep cross first. Stay just like that. Or maybe cross at the wrist, palms touch. Yogi's choice. There will be lots of options like this in class today. Take what is best for you and your body. Undo the arms. Crawl back out through tabletop. You can tap out the tops of the feet behind you. And we'll meet in an easy, gentle forward fold top of the mat. Step one foot to the top, the other one will follow. First forward fold of class, you can keep the knees bent a little or a lot. And just waterfall over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Hands can come to shins, long spine. Exhale to refold. And strong legs lifts you up to stand, root to rise. Meeting in Tadasana, mountain pose. Moving through 2 half sun A's. Inhale, reach up. On your exhale, fold it forward. On your inhale, halfway lift to lengthen the spine. Exhale to refold over the legs. And on your inhale, reach up, rise up. As you exhale, folding forward right into our second half sun, go with your breath. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen, soften shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, refold. And ride your inhale all the way to the top. Reach up. Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale to reach up once again. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale to halfway lift. We're going to add a twist, opening up to the right side of the room. Left knee bends, left hand stays down. And twisting open to the side, right hand can stay up to the ceiling, hand can come to your low back for support. Maybe you reach around the low back, reaching for the inner left thigh for a half bind. Letting go of this. Back through center, inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. And we'll just switch sides. Deep bend in the right knee, right hand stays down, twisting open to the left. Same options go with that lifted hand. One more breath. And releasing out of this, come back through center, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Palm the mat, plank pose, top of a push-up. Scoop up the low belly, press into the hands. Hug elbows into the sides and lower all the way to the belly. Coming into Sphinx pose, come onto your forearms, elbows a little forward of the shoulders, fingertips spread wide and open up through the chest. Adding some neck stretches here, dip the right ear to the right shoulder. Head back up through center, left ear, melt towards left shoulder. Back up through center. Now look over your right shoulder. Back through center, look over your left shoulder. Back through center, you can stay just like that. If it would feel nice, you can dip your chin to your chest and stay in stillness. Maybe gently swinging head to one side, one shoulder, and then the other. Anything that would feel nice here for the head and neck. Back up through center. Forehead down, hands on both sides of the chest. Tuck under the toes, engage through the thighs, press back up through plank pose, nice and strong. And then hips high, down dog. You can pedal out your feet here, take a bend in one knee, melt the opposite heel to the mat. And then switch. Good, keep going. And then settle into stillness. Ujjayi breath, breathing in and out of the nose. Shift it forward, plank pose, into a right side plank. Plant down through the right hand, come onto the outer blade of the right foot. Left foot can stack on top. You can always modify it by coming down onto that right knee. Come back through center, plank pose. And hips high, down dog. Shift it forward again, plank pose, belly button to spine, and open up for our left side plank. You can take a modified version, maybe feet stack, keep those hips pressed up. Back through plank, both hands down, and hips high, down dog. From down dog, step the right foot to the top of the mat in between your hands. We're coming up for high crescent lunge. Stay high on the back toes, bend in the front knee. Adding Gomukhasana arms. The left arm will come from the top, right arm from the bottom. And so that bottom arm can rest along your low back. Maybe you work towards fingertips touching. You can tug on your shirt to get those fingertips closer. Keep sinking into the legs and release the arms. Intense leg stretch. Straighten through 2 straight legs. Hop that back foot up a little bit, shorten your stance. All 10 toes face the front. And begin to fold forward over that front leg. Let your head be heavy. Release hands to the mat. Frame that front foot. Let hands be comfortably grounded somewhere as you fold forward. Squaring off the hips, think pulling right hip down and back just a little more. Coming into revolve side angle, lengthen your stance, come through a grounded runner's lunge. Adding our twist, left hand's going to stay planted down to the inside of that front foot. And opening up, twisting to the right side of the room. Getting that twist in the spine. Right hand back down. Preparing to turn on our mat, stay low, walk with your hands, quarter turn, now facing the long side of our mat. Adding another twist, right hand stays planted down under your face, twisting open to the back of the mat. Same options with that lifted arm that we did earlier in our forward fold twists. Back through center. And switching, keep the left hand planted down just under your face. Start to twist open to the front. Decide what you want to do with that lifted arm. Shift a little more weight into the balls of your feet rather than your heels. And come out of this, back through center, take a breath. And walk with your hands quarter turn back to face the front. Move through an optional belly down vinyasa plank. Lower through your chaturanga push-up. Inhale to your back bend, open the chest. And exhale, press back, down dog. Pause when you get there, breathe in and out of the nose. Reset, regroup before the other side. And on an inhale, step the left foot to the top in between the hands for high crescent lunge. Stay high on the back toes, arms sweep up. And adding our Gomukhasana arms here, right arm will come from the top, left arm from the bottom. Find your version. Back of the head, pressing into that top arm. Getting into that back hip flexor, top of the thigh on the right side. Release the arms, intense leg stretch, working towards 2 straight legs. Shorten your stance just a bit, square off the hips to the front. And when you're ready, folding forward. Release the hands to the mat, ground them down somewhere comfortably. And releasing all tension out of the head and neck. Nice long spine as you fold. Revolve side angle, lengthen your stance, coming through a grounded runner's lunge. Right hand's going to stay planted down and twisting open to the left. Think about stacking shoulders here. Bring that lifted hand back down. And quarter turn, walk with your hands, face the long side of your mat. Take a bend in your knees, bring hands to hips, and rise to stand. For triangle pose, Trikonasana, right toes rotate out to face the back of your mat and start to side bend over. That right hand can rest gently on the right thigh. If that's easy, maybe slide that hand down to your shin or ankle. If you have the space, maybe it comes all the way down to the mat one day. Finding this side body stretch. Strong legs and core strength lift you back up through center, 5-pointed star, big X shape with the body facing the side, just preparing to switch. Rotate the left toes out to the top of the mat. 2 straight legs and find your side bend over. Decide where is best for that left hand to rest. Just avoid pressing on the knee. Twisting center of the chest open to the side of the room. Creating space and length in between the ribs on the right side. And inhale, come back up through center, 5-pointed star. Take a breath. Bring hands to hips. All 10 toes face the long side of your mat and fold forward for Prasarita. Padottanasana A, a wide-legged fold. Hands walk back to be in line with your feet. Bend at the elbows behind you, pressing hands into the mat. Crown of head working towards the mat. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen through center. Walk with your hands, quarter turn back to face the front. Optional belly down vinyasa, plank. Lower through your push-ups on the exhale. Inhale to your back bend. And exhale, press back, hips high, down dog. And start to make your way to the top of the mat. Tiptoe, step, or hop, feet to hands. Inhale, halfway lift when you get there. Exhale, refold. And we'll rise to stand, meeting in Tadasana, mountain pose. Preparing for a standing balance. Tree pose, we'll stand on the right leg first. Start to rotate that left knee out to the side, get that external hip rotation. Toes can stay grounded, maybe foot presses up against that ankle. Maybe you slide that foot up the inner standing leg a little or a lot. Just let that foot be above or below the knee. Hands could stay to heart center. Maybe you grow your limbs up overhead. And with control, lowering that lifted foot back down to the mat, nice and controlled. And preparing to switch sides when you're ready. Shifting weight over into that left standing leg. Rotate that right knee out to the side. And find your tree legs. Decide where you want that foot to rest. Just avoid pressing on the knee. Once you've found your balance, focus, concentration, choose what you want to do with the arms. Coming out of this nice and slow and controlled, both feet grounded back down on the mat. Inhale, reach up, find length. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Palm the mat, plank pose, top of a push-up. And hug elbows into the sides. Lower all the way to the belly. Moving through one Shalabhasana back bend here, option to interlace hands behind you. Maybe arms straight and maybe hands lift up off of your bottom. Legs could be out more like a V shape or toes can come to touch. On an inhale, lift up everything you can. Head, chest, arms, legs, feet. Spinal strength here to lift you. Lengthening through the front of the body. And exhale, lower down, stack one palm on top of the other for crocodile to take a rest. Come back to your deep and full rounds of breath. Hands on both sides of the chest, tuck under your toes, press up through plank pose, and hips high, down dog. Ujjayi breath in and out of the nose. On your next inhale, right foot steps up in between the hands. Moving into low lunge, softly come onto the back knee, untuck the toes, getting that front knee directly over the heel and ankle. You can stay grounded with hands down, maybe hands come up to front thigh. If you want to be more upright, arms can be overhead. Option to add goddess arms, taking a bend in the elbows, opening up through the chest and the front of the shoulders. Last breath or two if you want to add a back bend, opening up. And hands down for half splits, shifting hips high and straight over that back knee, working towards a straight right leg. You can play around with pointing and flexing that front foot. Just notice how that gives you a different sensation and feeling. And when you're ready, folding forward. Head is heavy. Keep the hips squared off, pulling that right hip down and back. Coming out of this, crawl your hands to the top. Frame that front foot. Diagonal quad stretch, left hand stays down. Windmill the right hand for that back foot. If you have that bind and connection, gently pulling heel to glute. Getting into that quad stretch, stretching out the top of that back thigh. Without flinging, let go of that foot. Come through a grounded runner's lunge. Tuck under the back toes, lift off that knee, quarter turn, face the long side of your mat into a left side lunge. Left toes out to the corner, bend in that knee. Nice long spine here. Think crown of head and tailbone going in opposite directions. Walk hands back through center, take a breath. And preparing to switch sides, right side lunge, right toes out to the corner of the mat. Bend in that knee. Maybe using that right elbow to encourage that knee open and out to the side. Back through center, take a breath. And walk your hands back to face the front of the mat. Optional belly down vinyasa. Go with your breath. If you're skipping the vinyasa, you can always come to tabletop, take some cats and cows. You can always just step back to down dog and pause. That is where we will meet. Reset, regroup. That side is over. Let it go. Next, inhale, left foot steps up in between your hands, top of the mat. For our low lunge on this side, come onto that back knee, untuck the toes, getting your alignment set up first. That knee is directly over heel and ankle. You can stay grounded. You can come up a little or a lot, shoulders over hips. If arms are sweeping up overhead, option for goddess arms. Low belly scoops up away from front thigh. Keep pressing into that front heel. Keep the legs active. Last breath or two if you want to add a back bend. Opening up through the chest, reaching up and back. Good. Hands down. For half splits, shifting hips back to be high over that back knee, working towards a left straight leg. And choosing whether to point or flex that front foot. Try to choose one or the other. Lengthen through the spine as you fold forward. Hands are comfortably grounded somewhere. If you have yoga blocks at home, this is a great place for them. If the ground seems really far away from the hands as you fold. Start to come up out of this. Crawl your hands to the top, bend in the front knee, diagonal quad stretch. The right hand's going to stay down this time. Left hand comes for that back foot. And gently pulling heel to glute. Getting into that quad stretch. Without flinging, let go of that foot. Both hands come back down, grounded runner's lunge, tuck under the back toes, lift off that back knee. And last time, walk with your hands, quarter turn. Take a soft bend in your knees, bring hands to hips. And we'll rise to stand. For extended side angle on the right leg first. Right toes rotate out to face the back of your mat. Take a bend in that knee. Make sure your stance is nice and long. And you can bring the right forearm to the right thigh, left fingertips reaching up to the ceiling. If you have the space, maybe one day that right hand lowers to the mat to the inside of that foot. There's a half bind or full bind if you know it and want to take those options. Again, lots of different variations and places to be. Just go where is best for you today. And when you're ready, coming up to a 5-pointed star facing the side. And switching. Extended side angle, rotate those left toes to face the front of your mat, bend in that knee. And start by bringing forearm to thigh, creating length and space in that right side body. And moving into your variation or version on this side. Keep opening up through the chest to the side of the room. And coming back up through your 5-pointed star. All 10 toes face the long side of your mat. Bring hands to hips, elbows towards one another behind you. And with 2 straight legs folding forward through center. For a second and last wide-legged fold, you can repeat what we did the first time, Prasarita Padottanasana A. You can take a favorite version. If you have one, maybe hands start to walk on the floor back behind you, behind your feet. On your next inhale, halfway to lift and lengthen out of this. Walk with your hands quarter turn to face the front. Last option for a belly down vinyasa. We'll meet in down dog in a few rounds of breath. And start to make your way to the top of the mat. Feet meet hands. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold. And inhale, rise to stand, meeting in Tadasana, mountain pose. Moving into another standing balance. For standing pigeon, we'll stand on the right leg first. Left leg will be lifted. Start to make a number 4 shape with the legs. Left ankle rests on top of the right thigh. You can stay seated standing upright, or you can start to sit the hips back a little or a lot. Hands can stay to heart center. Maybe you work towards hooking elbows to the front of that lifted shin. And come back up to standing. Both feet grounded. Maybe shake it out, move around a little bit in between sides. And switching, shift your weight into the left standing leg. Start to make that number 4 shape. Right leg is lifted. Right ankle up and over the left thigh. Open out that knee to the side. You can stay upright. Perfect place to stay. If you want to make it deeper, you can start to sit in the hips. Lots of different places you can take this, lots of different variations. So go someplace where you're challenged, where you might be shaking a little bit, and then pause and breathe and really be there. Working back up to standing. Both feet grounded. Next, inhale. Reach up to find length. Exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, palm the mat, plank pose, top of a push-up. Pause when you get there. Scoop up the low belly, hug elbows in, and slowly lower all the way down. Option for another Shalabhasana back bend here. If you'd like a second one, option for bow pose. If you're taking bow, take a bend in your knees and start to reach back for the inside or outside of the feet and ankles. And on an inhale, wherever you are, lift up. If you're in bow, kick those feet into your hands. Toes, bottom of the feet reaching up to the ceiling, finding length. Keep breathing, don't hold your breath. And lower down to the mat. Crocodile, stack the opposite palm on top this time if you can remember. Deep belly breathing. Deep inhale, belly presses into the mat, out to the side to expand your ribs. And exhale, everything softens. Doing that again. Deep belly breathing. Starting to slow things down here, moving into our deep stretch portion of class. Hands on both sides of the chest. Press up through plank pose. And hips high, down dog. One more breath here in down dog. And we'll meet in tabletop, hands and knees. So slowly start to lower onto the knees. We're sitting back for Virasana, hero's pose. So knees come close together, touching. Separate the feet apart behind you and hips sit to the inside of the heels. This is a great place to sit hips up on yoga blocks or a pillow or a rolled or stacked blanket if you have that at home. Getting that internal hip rotation on both sides. Really trying to rest on the tops of the feet, toes pointed straight to the back of the mat. You can stay seated upright just like this, maybe close your eyes. If this is super comfortable for you, maybe you start to lean back, hands behind you. You could start to recline onto your elbows, or maybe all the way onto the spine. If you start to recline back and your knees start to pop up off the mat, don't go back so far, come more upright to a seated position. Getting the stretch into the tops of the thighs and the hips. And settle in, slowing everything down here. Two or three of your deepest rounds of breath. If you are reclined, slowly start to make your way back up to a seat. And crawling your way forward, setting aside any props you may have been sitting on. We're going to come down to a seat. So cross at your ankles, come to sit back. And lengthen out the left leg long on your mat. Start by hugging the right knee into your chest for half Gomukhasana. Right knee stacks on top of left. You can stay in this half variation with that bottom leg straight. Full Gomukhasana legs, you're going to take a bend in that bottom leg, and knees are stacking right on top of left. We're going to add a side bend, side body stretch. Right hand stays planted down alongside you. Inhale the left arm up and over. Keep pressing sits bones into the mat equally. Come back up through center for a twist to the right sides. So keep that left hand to the outside of the right thigh, finding that twist in the spine, maybe looking over that back shoulder. Come back through center. And adjusting your legs into double pigeon or fire log pose. If you were in full Gomukhasana, knee on ankle, ankle on knee, shins are parallel and stacked. If you are in half Gomukhasana, moving into a seated pigeon variation, making that same number 4 shape we did in our standing pigeon earlier, but now we are seated. Wherever you are, you can stay seated upright, or you can start to fold forward, getting that outer hip stretch on the right side. Notice how your face is. Try to soften it. Notice if you're clenching your jaw. Try to let that go. Keeping softness in the body. Even in a posture that might be difficult. If you are folded, start to roll up through the spine and lengthen 2 straight legs out long in front of you. Once again, maybe you shake them out, wiggle them side to side. And this time, keep the right leg straight, bend in the left knee, and wrap that leg up and over. Left knee stacks on top of right. This is half Gomukhasana, perfect place to stay. If you want full Gomukhasana, taking a bend in that bottom leg, knees are stacking, encouraging heels to the outer hips. And adding our side bend, left hand stays planted down. Inhale the right arm up and over. You can look up to the ceiling or down to the ground, whatever feels better for the head and neck. Inhale back up through center. For our twist to the left, take that right arm to the outside of the left thigh, adding that twist in the spine. And come back to face front. If you're in full Gomukhasana, adjusting your legs for shins to be parallel, left stacks on top of right, ankle on knee, knee on ankle. This is fire log pose or double pigeon. If you were in half Gomukhasana legs with that right leg long and straight on the mat, stay like that. Just adjust that top leg so the left ankle is rest on top of the right thigh, encouraging that left knee open and out to the side towards the mat gently. And wherever you are, stay seated upright or choose to fold forward a little or a lot. So again, many options, many different variations, places you can take this posture. Without judgment, just be where you are. Let go of tension in the body, any place that you might be holding on to. Breathe into those areas to soften. If you are folded forward, start to roll up through the spine. Lengthen 2 straight legs out long in front of you. Rock side to side, find your sits bones. Moving into a seated forward fold, inhale to reach up and exhale, fold it forward. Reaching for your feet. Deep stretch here for the entire back line of the body, heels all the way up through the legs, into the low back, all the way up to the spine, back of the neck, and out through the crown of the head. Two or three more rounds of breath, your own unique rounds of breath at your own pace. When you're ready, rolling up through the spine here, try to let the head be the last thing to come up, nice and slow. Meeting in a comfortable seat facing the front, we are going to practice some pranayama breath work to gain regulation of breath for Nadi Shodhana. or dragon's breath. It's alternate nostril breathing to balance energy in the body. So start by taking your right hand, bringing pointer and middle finger to your forehead space in between your eyebrows. Use your right thumb to close off the right nostril. Take a deep inhale through the left side. Close off the left nostril with your ring finger. Open the right nostril and breathe out. Stay there. Breathe in through the right side. Close it off with your thumb. Open the left and breathe out. Stay there. Breathe in through left. Close it off. Open right and breathe out. Breathe in through right. Close it off. Open left and breathe out. Keep going just like that, closing your eyes. Continue. After every inhale, seal that side and exhale from the opposite side. Keep going. Next time you breathe out through the left side, you can relax the right hand back down to your legs. Find stillness in your comfortable seat. Eyes remain closed and find easy, natural breathing, free-flowing rounds of breath. We will start to make our way to a reclined position on our spines. If you would like a little bit of core work to get you there, you can start to slowly lower down one vertebrae at a time. Really feel each part of the spine touch the mat as you lower. Take your time. Good. Moving into one bridge pose here for a symmetrical back bend. Bringing heels close to hips, knees bent up to the ceiling, arms long by your sides, palms down to the mat. And on an inhale, feet firmly press into the mat to lift up hips and low back. Pressing those hip points up to be equal and in line with the knees. Legs are strong. Glutes are working. Building that energy and heat in the thighs. Maybe your forearms and hands are also pressing into the mat to help you lift higher. Lengthening through the front of the body and the belly here as we strengthen the back line of the body. Keep breathing, taking in those sips of air. And lower hips back down to the mat. Walking feet out about mat's width. And softly let your knees fall over to one side. And then the other, like you're windshield wipering them back and forth. Bring those legs back up through center. Moving into an inversion, I will cue waterfall or modified legs up the wall. Or if you are near a wall, once you start to lift your legs up, maybe you use the wall there as support. So think hips, knees, ankles, all in line. Close your eyes. Let the back of the head be heavy into the mat. And without too much effort, trying to keep those legs either touching or close together. Let the hips feel grounded, heavy into the mat. And at the same time, feeling lightness in the legs that are lifted up overhead. Two more deep rounds of breath here in our inversion. And start to lower feet, legs back down to the mat. Lengthen out through the left leg long. Hug the right knee into your chest. And then encourage that knee out towards the right shoulder just a bit. Preparing for a twist, let that knee fall across you to the opposite side. Maybe the right arm comes straight out of the shoulder. You can gaze in that direction. Finding that supine spinal twist. Start to bring that leg back up through center. And we'll simply switch sides. Lengthen through the right leg. Hug in the left knee. And start to open that knee out to the left shoulder first, just for a breath or two. And moving into our twist, let that knee come across you to the opposite side. Lengthen through the left arm, gaze towards those fingertips. Slowing down the breath here. Slowing down the heart rate. Start to bring that leg back up through center. Taking any last movements that you might like before we settle in for our final rest Shavasana. Maybe it's happy baby, grabbing the opposite outer blades of the feet, hugging knees up into your armpits, rocking side to side. Maybe keep the low back engaged with the mat for this one. And when you're ready, starting to lengthen out long on your mat. Have feet out at least mat's width. Feet flop out to the sides. Arms out long, palms up to the ceiling. Take up as much space as you can. Close your eyes. Letting the breath relax and be easy. And moving through a guided meditation to bring you into final rest. Start to bring awareness to all the parts of the body that are touching the mat, feeling grounded and heavy. Bring your awareness to the heels, the calves, back of the thighs, moving up into the glutes and the hips, moving up to all the parts of the spine, letting go. Bringing your awareness into the shoulder blades, back of the arms, tops of the hands. The fingers are soft. Soften in your throat, in your face, in your jaw. Let the tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth, melting into the mat, finding total relaxation of body and mind. Let the concept of time dissolve. We are not trying to create an experience, but instead we are creating a void so experience can happen. Take rest. Shavasana. Beginning to bring awareness back into your breath. Notice the rise and fall of your inhales and exhales. Let that breath invite small movements back into the body, fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. If a full body stretch would feel nice, you can reach arms overhead, pointing the toes to the front of the room. You can hug it all in, curl up into a ball, give yourself a big squeeze, maybe curling forehead to knees. And we'll end our practice together in a comfortable seat facing the front. With eyes closed or gazing down, slowly start to make your way there. Meeting with hands to heart center. It was my honor to guide you through your practice today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thumb knuckles to third eye. And we bow together in gratitude for time on our mats and for each other. Namaste.